Riley Burruss is done being quiet. For years, she sat back, smiled for the cameras, and allowed people to believe what they wanted. Fans saw glimpses of tension, little moments of unease, but never the full truth. Riley didn't speak because she thought silence was easier, maybe even safer. But that silence is over. She has officially stepped into the spotlight with a voice that's sharper, stronger, and filled with years of built-up frustration. And at the center of her story, Todd Tucker and his family. Now, let's be clear. This isn't just Riley throwing shade for attention. She isn't dropping vague hints or speaking in riddles. No, she's laying out real details, complete with examples, explanations, and the kind of behind-the-scenes truth fans of The Real Housewives of Atlanta always suspected but never heard confirmed. And according to Riley, the heart of it all comes down to one thing: money, power, and control. Riley has lived in front of the cameras since she was a child. Viewers of RHOA watched her grow up from a sweet, shy little girl into a smart, thoughtful young woman. Through it all, she was known as the quiet one, focused on her studies, respectful toward her mother, and never the type to stir up unnecessary drama. But don't confuse that quiet nature with naivety. Riley may not have been loud, but she was always paying attention. She was listening to conversations, noticing actions, and piecing together truths that weren't being said out loud. And now she's finally connecting the dots publicly. Her target? Todd's carefully polished image. The man who presented himself as self-made, disciplined, and financially responsible, a partner who supposedly matched Kandi's hustle and vision. Riley is saying that image is a mask, and she's determined to pull it off. Let's rewind a little. Riley grew up watching her mother build an empire with her own two hands. Kandi Burruss earned everything she has. From Grammy-winning music to restaurants, stage plays, reality television, and countless businesses, Kandi worked non-stop to create her legacy. Nobody handed her success. She fought for it. So when Todd entered the picture, Riley naturally had questions. Was this man truly her mother's equal? Did he share her work ethic, her ambition, her ability to protect what she had built? Or was he simply stepping into something already established? According to Riley, the answer is crystal clear. Todd didn't come into the marriage as an equal. She claims he wasn't honest about his financial situation from the start. And once the marriage was official, he didn't just share Kandi's wealth, he leaned on it. She points to his business ventures, many of which only came to life after he became connected to Kandi. From restaurant partnerships to production gigs, Riley argues these opportunities weren't created by Todd alone. They were built on Kandi's influence, money, and reputation. In her words, Todd didn't build the foundation, he benefited from it. But Riley says the issue didn't stop with Todd himself. She claims his family also became increasingly involved once Kandi was in the picture. According to her, Todd opened the door wide for his relatives, not just into their personal lives, but into business opportunities and even financial benefits. To Riley, this wasn't about blending families or building unity. It was about access. She says she saw his family show up when money or opportunity was involved, but not necessarily when genuine support or love was needed. That, for Riley, was one of the hardest pills to swallow. Watching her mother's resources, time, and even emotional energy being extended to people who, in her eyes, weren't giving much back. She says it created an imbalance in the home, a shift in priorities where Todd seemed to focus more on his own bloodline than on the woman whose platform helped elevate him. Perhaps the deepest wound for Riley is what she calls the fantasy Todd sold. She says he painted a picture of independence, stability, and ambition. He convinced her mother and the world that he was strong enough to stand beside her, that he was bringing something equal to the table. But behind the scenes, Riley insists the truth was very different. She says he relied heavily on Kandi's resources, and the fallout of that lie rippled through the entire household. And Riley doesn't stop there. Once she started talking about the financial imbalance, she shifted her focus to something even more personal: Todd's role as a father. On camera, Todd presented himself as the tough but caring dad, a man who mixed discipline with love, who believed in teaching independence and hard work. To the public, it seemed like he was guiding his children with balance and strength. But Riley says that image crumbled behind closed doors. She isn't just speaking about her own experiences, she's also pointing to Todd's relationship with his daughter Kayla, and what she describes doesn't match the public perception. On paper, it looked like a modern, blended family success story. Kandi's daughter Riley and Todd's daughter Kayla living under one roof, learning to love and support each other like true sisters. But Riley says that picture never fully came to life. Why? Because of Todd. She describes him as a man who preached fairness and equality, but practiced something else entirely. Riley says he was quick to criticize her achievements, whether in school, career, or personal growth. Instead of celebrating her successes, she claims he often minimized them, attributing her wins to privilege or her mother's influence rather than her own hard work. Yet when it came to Kayla, Riley noticed a very different approach. Todd, she says, was more forgiving, more understanding, and more patient with his own daughter. Kayla was given room to figure out life without constant pressure or critique. Riley makes it clear she doesn't blame Kayla, she actually sympathizes with her. The real issue, she argues, is Todd's double standard. He demanded perfection from Riley while excusing his own shortcomings as a father. That imbalance created tension in the household that nobody wanted to openly address. Beyond favoritism, Riley also highlights emotional absence. Todd may have looked involved on social media, posting pictures and writing captions that portrayed him as hands-on and supportive. But behind the screen, Riley suggests his presence wasn't as consistent. She hints that even Kayla felt the lack of support, though in different ways. In Riley's eyes, both daughters were navigating struggles without the guidance or stability Todd claimed to provide. Instead of being united in that shared struggle, they were left to handle it separately, under the same roof, but without real connection. And here's the part that truly frustrates Riley: the performance. She says Todd has spent years building an image for the public that doesn't reflect reality. He positions himself as the backbone of the family, the strong and silent rock holding everything together. But Riley sees it differently. She says he isn't the glue, he's the stress. Whenever she spoke up about her feelings, she says it got brushed off as teenage rebellion or entitlement. But Riley isn't a teenager anymore. She's grown, confident, and unwilling to let her perspective be dismissed. Her message is simple: don't preach unity and fairness if you aren't practicing it at home. What worries Riley most is that Todd's version of events could become the accepted truth. The way he talks about sacrifice, discipline, and being the man of the house, Riley calls it fiction, and she's determined to set the record straight before that false narrative becomes permanent. Because for her, this isn't just about family drama, it's about her mother's legacy. Riley makes one thing clear: she's not speaking out to cause chaos. She's doing it to protect her mother's reputation and everything she worked for. She acknowledges that Todd has worked hard in certain areas, but she insists he hasn't been transparent about the foundation of his success. In her eyes, the truth is simple: Kandi gave more, Todd took more. And when it came time to admit that imbalance, Todd chose pride instead of honesty. According to Riley, Todd's biggest lie isn't even about money. It's about how those lies affected the people closest to him, especially his daughter Kayla. Riley points to the contradiction. Todd preached independence and hustle to Kayla, encouraging her to struggle and grind for everything. Yet at the same time, he himself benefited from Kandi's support and resources without openly acknowledging it. For Riley, that was the cruelest contradiction of all. Riley hints that she has more to reveal if needed. Financial records, timelines, receipts, evidence that could expose just how deep the imbalance and manipulation go. This isn't an empty threat, it's a warning. And because she's family, her words carry weight in a way no outside rumor ever could. At the end of the day, Riley's message is simple. She's done being silent. She's done watching Todd shape a public image that doesn't align with the private reality. She's done seeing her mother's sacrifices minimized while someone else claims to be the foundation. Todd can keep telling his version of the story, but Riley has already started telling hers, and this time, she's not holding back. Because for Riley Burruss, protecting her mother's legacy isn't just a duty, it's personal, and she's ready to make sure the truth is heard, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. At the end of the day, Riley's decision to finally speak out changes everything. For years, viewers wondered what really went on behind the polished smiles, the blended family storyline, and the carefully curated image Todd Tucker put forward. Now, Riley has shattered that illusion. She's revealed the hidden tension, the financial imbalance, and the emotional cracks that were kept out of the spotlight. But this isn't just a story about drama, it's about legacy. Riley isn't fighting for fame or attention. She's fighting to protect the empire her mother built through hard work, sacrifice, and relentless determination. And when someone she believes benefited more than they admitted tries to rewrite that history, she's not going to sit back quietly. The truth is messy, the emotions are raw, and the fallout is far from over. Riley has made it clear that if pushed, she's prepared to bring even more proof to light. Whether the public is ready or not, the silence is broken, and the truth is out. Todd can keep telling his version, but Riley has already started telling hers, and this time, the world is listening.